Hi everyone, it's Peter from PS Sound, and in this short introduction video we are going to talk through what we are planning in this beautiful G20 or 21. Which one is it now? 21. Well, it's 221, but the model is G20, G21, and it's 2021. Okay, so it's a later 3 Series, and yes, the plan is to do something pretty decent in it. Something a bit more complex than just plug and play upgrade, which now we figured out why it's not even that simple for those who are planning that simple plug and play, but we will talk through that. But first we want to see that big stash. Somebody had a big Christmas gift, right? The original plan was to keep it OEM plus. Now it's gonna get a bit more complex after we've seen the car and what can be done. But I just talk you through the options, what we can do. So doing digital integration in this car is not that simple, although now somebody figured it out and there's a module for it, so you can have digital integration from the head unit too. However, we were fine going ahead with just a HEC HD Bluetooth module, which works great. I know many people can nag about it. This is not lossless. Well, anybody can listen to any of our cars where we have an alternative source, whether it's your phone or a DAP, a digital audio player, and you can stream directly to the DSP. It sounds great. There are way more important things to worry about than getting lost in bitrate and whether you can play 96K 24-bit and things like that. But the HD Bluetooth module gives you a really clean, dynamic input. And even if you do most integration in many new cars, actually the integration is not so smooth and it doesn't always sound that great in every single case. Sometimes you can have compression, sometimes you can have noise, reduced level, things like that. I'm sure many people can talk about their challenges with most integration these days, especially in the later models. So that's going to be our proper source, and we will have the car integrated on speaker level for the daily functions, for radio, sat-nav, whatnot. And the brain of the system is going to be the P6 DSP Ultimate, which is a 12-channel DSP in a way that it gives you 6 amplifier channels, and it also gives you 4 RC outputs as well as an optical output. If we flip to this side, then you can see the 4 RCAs there, and then you can see an optical output as well, which is also DSP processed. It's not a signal straight through, it's a processed signal, but you can have an additional output linked to another DSP if you wanted to through the Bluetooth module, because on that one you have an extra optical output and that's a straight through, but this one is processed. Yes, this limits your options, because if you had 3 pairs of RCAs, then you could configure it to any additional amplifier on channel 11, 12. But in this case, as you have to use the optical, you kind of have to use something like the P1 or the P2. So we are going to have the P1 in this, the P1 Mark II, which is a 1 ohm stable monoblock for its size and capabilities. This is fantastic value. And we are going to use that for the Focal 30KX dual voice core sub, which is dual 4. It's going to be wired down to 2 ohm, which gives perfect power matching. On 2 ohm, this is around like 1K. The sub is 800 RMS on paper, so we will have plenty of headroom from this monoblock for that sub to drive it. And we also have a C4. So we will use the 4 RCA output into the C4, and we are going to use this for the mid and tweet to have as good chance as possible to get best clarity and detail and all the audiophile goodies out of this amplifier for the mid and tweet. For that we will have the Steg MSS3 and MSS1M. The MSS1M is different from the original MSS1. This is now the magnesium version, and they supply it with 2 different faceplates. They can twist the faceplate off, they are threaded, and then you can also end up having this size, which is way more compact and easier to install this way. So we are going to have this for our mid and tweet, and BMW comes with challenges because they have the BMW OEM location underneath the seat. Many people don't find it as the best option. However, it's still better than doing a classic upgrade on the door, sound deadening and soundproofing the door and having a mid-bass in the door. Many people know we don't really like that. So BMW can still work great, and we will have a bit of a twist on it to make sure that we have as little resonance with the mid-bass underneath the seat as possible. Yes, in a BMW, as you have these underneath the seat, it has its acoustical challenges, as I mentioned, and you can't play them too high. So integrating the underseats to small format mids wouldn't be possible. That's why we are going to have the MSS Freeze, which are very, very capable drivers, and they will deal with the lower mid-range that easy, and we will have good integration. We will also upgrade the rear field speakers in the doors, nice and simple. Steg has plug and play options for that. It's going to be just perfectly fine for rear field duty, which will run on different presets depending on the requirements, and we can run them differential, more like effect speakers to increase room information and ambience in the car, in the cabin, or we can run them normal if we have rear passengers. So yeah, you can do a lot when you have a clever DSP and a clever user, I guess. So that's about the system, what goes into it. And I haven't mentioned, yes, we will have the conductor, but I'm sure you've seen it. That simple controller, it can do hell of a lot. And then when we have the project finished, I will also show you what you can do with it and how it functions. But that's a beautiful little controller, easy to install, easy to operate, and pretty inexpensive too, to be fair, which is a big factor. Well, not on a system scale like this probably. Yeah, many people like Director, but it's just difficult to install. On to the car. Yeah, we have to keep practicality as well, because you have how many dogs? Two. What?
2 Spaniels.
Okay, they are not the biggest, but we have to section the boot off, and you have a, what do you call it, like a grill? Yeah, dog guard that goes in. So one half of the boot is going to be kept for the dogs. And then on the other side, we've seen more sufficient space on this side for the subwoofer. We will do a custom enclosure over there on that side, because this side is a bit smaller, because that's the side where you have the fuel cap and you also have AdBlue, so that takes more space away. Probably you could have a small 10 or an 8 in that cavity, but we wanted a sufficient nice big driver, so the 30kX is definitely gonna feel better on that side. We will modify that panel a little bit, mold into it, and have a nice and simple practical subbox over there. The amplifiers are supposed to go underneath the floor, because we have some room. Once we strip everything, we will see what we can do, but obviously all those trims will come out, and then we can truly see what's possible. There's room here as well. Underneath we have the battery, so at least the power wiring is going to be relatively easy. But yeah, we will have to try to fit all those amps underneath the floor. At least 2 of the amps are Class D, and the C4 has built-in fan, so should it get a bit warm, then it should be alright. And we live in UK, which is handy. If we lived in, I don't know, Colorado or Nevada in America, or some really hot place, then I would probably question mark putting amplifiers underneath the floor. But in UK we should be fine with that. Up front, that's where plans changed, because originally we wanted OEM plus upgrades, so keeping the mid bass in the factory locations, keeping the mids in factory locations as well, which are there. At least it's not mounted on the door card, it's mounted on the inner skin. However, we realized that this door design has changed, and there you go. It might be now the time for some of your recommendation. Not that we are now going to do it, because no, we changed our mind. But in order to treat this door on the outside, it's not that simple, because usually when you see an inner skin like this, you can see all the bolts and the clips. You untwist it, take the bolts out, and then this comes out after you released the glass. But the access holes that normally cars have on an inner skin like this, like usually there and there, they are sealed up, and you don't really have access to these. And then we've seen from a few videos that people just drill through it and then try to find the access bolts for the glass to release them. We wouldn't really want to do that, and Considering that the mid-range is not an optimal location, yes, we can make it work. When it's fully active, we can tune it, and you can still get a pretty good stage. Not necessarily as high as the mid-range was a bit further up, without intrusive things in the cabin like your leg and things like that, but it could have worked. But considering the situation with the Cineskin now, we are not the happiest with that, and we're gonna do pillars, which is not that simple with 4-inch drivers. But the good thing is that this car doesn't have airbag going down low. It starts from here, from the top, and the pillar has solid fixing on the top. We have a bolt going in on the top, so whatever we build is going to be held in place rigidly. Yes, on that side, on driver's side, the mid-range is going to be a bit tight because of the speedo cluster, but we will deal with it. At least this way we can build really rigid mounting for the mids, and I'm sure they will play low enough to integrate to the under seats, and we should have a good chance to get a nice and high sound stage as well. One thing that we still have in our pocket, that if we wanted to do front sub, we can still do that, because we have 2 extra spare channels, because the P6 is going to run the mid bass and the rear fill, and then we have 2 channels left out of the 6 amplifier channels for potential front sub duties, but this amplifier cannot be bridged, so we need a subwoofer that's like duo 2 ohm. That would be optimal. It's not impossible to find front sub for that duty, so we could do that too. Then the under seats wouldn't have to work that hard. We've done that on multiple occasions. Some of our customers as well did that on their own. Actually, we shared a 3 Series, a 335 in 2022 December, I think. It was just before Christmas. Yes, we had one of those where the customer built everything himself. He just brought it to us for tuning, and it worked out great. Under seat locations with an additional front sub, a 10-inch in the footwell, and yeah, that was quite something. So this is the plan. This is what we are dealing with. You will see hopefully some steps of the progress as well on the Patreon channel. You can check the link in description, and yeah, in a few weeks you will see where we get with it and what comes out of it. So feel free to share it, do the usual things, guys, and then we will see you in the next one. Take care.